Hudson Institute is devoted to protecting American security and the security of our allies, protecting our freedom, and fostering our prosperity. It's very important to understand that what we do is to help democratic leaders better understand a dynamic world situation and to give them policy options, not one answer to the question. There are democratic peoples that they lead, need to see alternatives and need to make their own choices. But they need choices that are real and they need policies that work. We work in the Indo-Pacific with our allies in Japan and Australia. We work in the Middle East with our ally Israel and other friends in the region. We work now aggressively with Europeans and Central Asians to counter the threat of the growing alliance between Xi Jinping, Putin's Russia, and the radical regime in Iran. They have become a combined threat, and they require us to use all of America's military power, its economic power, and its diplomatic power to rethink, reforge, and strengthen the opportunities that we have now and into the future.
Hudson really tries to connect the regions and see the hinges between them. I think our strength is our transparency, and we bear our weaknesses to the world, warts and all. Meanwhile, these authoritarian systems, they tend to look relatively stable. There's this veneer of efficiency at the top, but there's a certain hollowness in those systems. I'm rather optimistic in that sense that in the end we can win this competition, and for that we need good policy ideas.
At Hudson, we have the space, and we talk and we bring that debate and really want to think beyond today. We don't only call the humanitarian aid as the crisis, but we also talk about women's rights crises. We talk about human rights crises. So it's a very comprehensive look.
We have our roots as strategists, but then we go beyond strategy to think about what we need to implement, and that's where the scholars really roll up our sleeves and think about the policy recommendations we need so that we can achieve the strategies that we set out.
Policymakers seek out Hudson scholars because they trust us. They trust us that we're going to provide them with real, reliable information about the threat and about what the United States can realistically do about it.
As I'm speaking right now, things are really dark in the Mideast. We're worried about what's going on in the Far East. Ukraine is doing its best, but it's got a big enemy. Look at what's going on in Israel. They have cutting-edge tech, cutting-edge defense, and I have no doubt that Israel will prevail.
The strength of our military in general, has always been the people, that populate it, and their innovativeness, their capability, their proficiency. The U.S. is always going to be the more capable force and the more creative force compared to our opponents.
And we're being challenged by China. We're being challenged by China working with Russia, working with North Korea, working with Iran. And these are revisionist powers that have a very different view of international order. And they will not protect our interests, our freedom, our prosperity. We're going to have to be fighting for this. But I'm optimistic that if we are engaged, we can do all of that.
We have a more capability to look at China from their perspective as well as from the United States perspective. Under party communist control, it's peaceful, there's no dissent, and so it's a really, really harmful. So I think this kind of systemic propaganda, united front work to destabilize Americans' confidence in their own institution, that's a very big threat.
This is Hudson Institute's moment. We have scholars who are trained in analyzing the interaction between strategy, policy, technology, innovation, and all of the things are coming together at this critical moment.
I think Hudson's founder, Herman Kahn, was an optimist. He bequeathed human ingenuity, an American can-do spirit can solve problems.
No one else is doing this kind of forward-looking analysis to shape policies that will protect the homeland and our allies and advance our core economic and strategic interests.
I actually am an optimist about where the world is going, or at least where the world can go if we get it right. The worse the world situation gets, the more other countries look to the United States as a source of protection and stability.
As great as our problems appear today, America still is the last best hope of mankind. There is nothing beyond America and American ideals. It's worth fighting for. And the battle is at bottom a battle over ideas. And that's where Hudson can make and is making a great contribution.
In today's world, dynamic change, of dangerous threats, of a return to hard power, it is imperative that we do what Hudson has always done. Challenge conventional wisdom, which frequently is overtaken by events, and come up with real policy options that change for the better the opportunities and the security situation of Americans and of American friends around the world.